Good morning, garden friends. I'm out here in the market garden and it is a fairly chilly October morning. We just started the second week of October and we are in peak foliage season, such that it is this year with the drought. And we're about to have our first killing frost tonight. So today is going to be a mad scramble in the market garden to pick everything that I can that is susceptible to frost and get it in the house before tonight. We're going to get down into the mid to upper 20s. They're predicting 27, 28 degrees on the local weather station, but here I know on this farm we're in a bit of a frost pocket, so we're probably going to be even colder than that. So anything that isn't already dead is going to be dead, except maybe for the kale. That'll be fine, and the Brussels sprouts. But peppers, sweet potatoes behind me, most of this row, this pollinator row, is going to get scorched tonight. So today I'm going to be harvesting the sweet potatoes, which is right here, this half of the row right here, and getting those out of the ground and into the greenhouse where I can close them up and put a heater on tonight and keep them above freezing. The sweet potatoes need to cure for a couple of weeks in a sunny, warm spot, and the greenhouse is perfect for that. I just have to play the game of, opening up the greenhouse in the morning to make sure they don't cook, and then closing it up in the afternoon, evening to make sure they don't get cold for a couple of weeks. And then we can bring them inside and put them in the basement for the winter. So today's mission, such that it is to get these sweet potatoes harvested and then go over and harvest the peppers and the remaining tomatoes, and try to think if there's anything else that I need to harvest. Parsley up in the herb garden. Need to get a bunch of parsley. And then I think I'm going to pick myself a big bouquet of flowers tonight, this afternoon, and bring those into the house, since most of these will be gone by morning. We'll see. So I'm going to get right to it, get my tools, and start taking this apart. Now that I've cut off all of the sweet potato foliage, we can see some of the interesting things that have gone on in the few months that these sweet potatoes have been in. Namely, if you look under here, big mounds of dirt, and actually I can see a hole there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but there is a big hole here. Definitely some sort of rodent doing some sort of activity in here. You can see all the dirt piled up here. And then as we go down the row, actually there's another pile of dirt right there. I don't see a hole though. And then right here you can see all kinds of dirt. That's not supposed to be there. Looks like there's some sort of hole right there under the plastic. That's a sweet potato right there. There was a sweet potato here, sweet potato plant. And then there's a sweet potato plant that was buried under all this dirt. It's likely, here's another big hole. Look at that. Underneath the pollinator row. Interesting. It's likely this is either voles, although I suspect rats, actually. Yeah. Well, my next step is to get this plastic covering off of the row and hopefully see a little more clearly what we're dealing with. and then start digging. Just have to stop here for a moment and check out this sleeping bumblebee on the Tithonia torch flower. It's still pretty chilly this morning, so this little bee is taking a rest and soaking up some sun. Hopefully it'll warm up soon and it'll be able to continue foraging. Well, the damage is worse than I thought. Look at this. Like this huge trench dug out by somebody. And then over here, look at this. Look at the size of this hole. Again, I suspect rats, but I don't know for sure. All right, well, let's start digging up some of these tubers and see what happens. I mentioned, I think, earlier in the season that I had 4 different types of sweet potatoes, and I did actually put the tags in the garden. I had planned to write more permanent tags, but never got around to it. So these were sitting underneath the tarp. This tarp here that was covering up this row next to it, and they seem to have survived, so I'll be able to tell which sweet potatoes are which. This first section here are Covington sweet potatoes, so let's see what we got here. Well, this is my Covington sweet potato harvest. Not a total loss. We did get a few nice tubers. A few smaller ones. These are fine. These are totally edible. Just not obviously very big, but they'll still taste good. These, however, look at that. My biggest tuber, and it got chewed. This one too. Ugh, that's so disappointing. Here is the total sweet potato harvest. It was quite the job getting these guys out of the ground. So let me show you what we got. These right here were the first ones that we pulled out of the ground, the ones that seemed to be eaten by the rats. And I'm pretty sure it was a rat because my husband was just working on the compost bin and a massive rat jumped out of it. And it's not too far here from the garden. Anyway, so this is Covington, and a pretty sad harvest. It's basically just this little group right here. And a lot of them got eaten by the rodent. This group here was actually pretty surprising. This one is, check this here. This is Bayou Belle, and it's sort of a red-skinned potato, but it's orange on the inside. This definitely had much more volume. There's this massive potato. Look at the size of this thing. It's like as big as my head. But the rest of them were probably more like that. This is probably more representative. A normal sized potato. And then a lot of skinny ones, which are completely edible. Whoops, and a bumblebee just landed on a potato. But yeah, so pretty happy with that haul. Over here, I believe this is Beauregard. So we can find the tag in here somewhere. Hang on a second. Yeah, that's Beauregard. And this definitely had fewer tubers, and actually half of the slips that I planted didn't take. So there were only, I think, like three slips that actually grew potatoes. But they were all pretty consistently good size. So yeah, had the rest of them taken, this would have been a pretty big haul. The surprise of the day, actually, is this Purple Majesty potato. A ton of potatoes, and they're beautiful, beautiful size, big. There's definitely, you know, some smaller pieces in here, but wow. And the other thing about this Purple Majesty, I actually accidentally hit it with the fork, is the tubers were pretty spread away from the center of the plant, so it was fairly tricky to dig them out. You didn't know where they were going to be. Overall, I have to say it's not a bad harvest, given that a lot of the slips didn't take, especially the Beauregard. And yeah, just it's in New England, which is not known for being a sweet potato mecca. Yeah, so I'm going to take this wheelbarrow up to the greenhouse and spread them out there so they can cure. So here I am in the greenhouse. I've set this up for the sweet potatoes. One thing you'll notice probably right away is there are no longer any onions in here. All of the onions dried up, and I cleaned them up, cut off the tops, and put them downstairs in our basement, where they'll stay for the rest of the winter and into the spring, and we'll use them the whole time. So those are all gone, and kind of gave the greenhouse a quick cleanup. And then I hung this shade cloth, which is partially fallen down, but actually that's okay. So the shade cloth is for the greenhouse. It actually is by the same company that I bought the greenhouse from. And it hangs on hooks up here. Sweet potatoes are not like onions. You don't want them to bake in the sun. They want to be in shade when they're curing, but they want to be warm and dry. So I'm going to load these sweet potatoes into the greenhouse, spread them out on this table here, and then let them stay in here for at least 2 weeks, depending on the weather, maybe 3. And I will bring a heater in here just in case. There should be enough heat built up in this greenhouse with the floor so that it'll stay above freezing tonight, but I don't want to take the risk just in case. So I'll bring the heater in here, set it at like 40, 45 degrees, just to make sure that it's not going to drop too low. Yeah, and so they'll stay in here for a couple of weeks, and then they'll be cured. If you don't cure them, they're pretty much inedible. So you need to cure them so they sweeten up, and it's really, I believe, for the development of the sugars. So they sweeten up and they become palatable. And then they'll store for however, you know, I was actually eating sweet potatoes until I think April this year. Before the ones I had in the basement got a little bit hunky. But they'll last a long time as long as they're cured properly and they're stored in a cool, dark place over the winter. So let me get these loaded in, and yeah, then we'll get back into the garden and on to the next thing. Got everybody spread out on the table here, and you can really see the differences in the varieties. This is the Purple Majesty, and then right next to it is the tiny little harvest of Beauregard, and then Bayou Belle are all these tubers here, and then the sad, sad little harvest of Covington. It is interesting to see them all next to each other, the different varieties. I think the clear winners, or winner this year, is the Purple Majesty in terms of the size of the tubers, the consistent size. And then Bayou Belle, I would say that's the next, just in the number of tubers. A lot of small ones that didn't size up, but had a few that were really good size. And then of course this massive one here. And then I would say Covington was kind of a failure, mainly I think because of the rats that chewed a lot of the tubers, and I just threw those away. And Beauregard, I think if more plants, more slips had survived and produced, these would have actually probably rivaled the Purple Majesty in terms of harvest. So I'm back in the garden. I'm here in the pepper row, and I've got quite a few red bell peppers to harvest. These will not survive tonight. The plants are going to get toasted, so I'm going to try to cut as many of these as I can and get them out of the garden before the frost tonight. So I'm down here at the end of the pepper row in the chilies, and look at all these really beautiful chilies. These are lemon drop chilies, I believe that's the name. I'll put it down below if it's not lemon drop. Ooh, look at this one, it's so pretty. Anyway, these were seeds given to me by a friend of mine, and so I grew them, and even though I don't like chilies, my husband and I, neither my husband and I or I like hot chilies, but they're always fun to grow. So actually my friend who gave me the seeds is going to get a big bag of these, whether she knows it or not. I'm going to show up at her house. So yeah, I'm going to get harvesting these, and yeah, these are beautiful. All right, here's my pepper haul. Oops. So I have a big pile of red bell peppers on the end here. In the middle are all the Carmen peppers. I mean, some beauties. Look at that. That's gorgeous. And on the end, here are the lemon drop chili peppers. Ridiculous amount. And this is like maybe, I don't know, a fifth of the peppers, not even. A tenth of the peppers on the plants. The plants are just loaded with green peppers, but they just didn't have enough time to ripen. But hopefully my friend can figure out what to do with these and put them to good use. Or we'll find somebody who can. But they were fun to grow, and they're just so pretty. I'm going to go through my tomato row here and harvest anything that's green or even slightly showing any signs of coloring. I've got a good home for all these. So definitely want to get these in tonight before the frost. Well, turns out I needed almost an entire wheelbarrow just for the tomatoes. As you can see, the peppers are pretty much completely buried underneath the pile of tomatoes. I had a good number of ripe plum tomatoes, as well as just starting to color up tomatoes, as well as green tomatoes. I know exactly where these are going to go. A friend of mine makes green tomato relish, and I'm sure I can find another friend to take the partially ripe tomatoes. But look at them all. Not bad for... Oop. You gonna check? Susie's here to inspect. Yes. Yes, my sweet puppy. So yeah, I'm sure these will all go to good use. Not bad for not really trying to grow tomatoes this year. So my last task here in the market garden in the late afternoon is to harvest the remaining chard. There's a ton of chard in here that's still perfectly edible despite the holes. And I'll bring it inside, chop it up, blanch it, and freeze it in vacuum packs for the winter. And we'll have greens throughout the whole winter, along with the kale that is growing in the other part of the garden. So yeah, I'm going to get to work on this and yeah, hopefully wrap it up for the afternoon. A mountain of chard on top of the tomatoes and peppers and all the other stuff. These beautiful colors. That will look really nice in our freezer this winter. I have one more task I want to get done this afternoon before I go in for the day, and that's bringing in rosemary. Yes, I named my rosemary plant Rosemary. She survived last winter, and so I want to give her another chance to come inside again and live with us this winter, and hopefully she'll make it. She's flowering again, as you can see. Really pretty. I love rosemary. The herb. Not necessarily rosemary the plant. I've had probably, I would say, like a 50% success rate in overwintering rosemary inside the house. Indoor house conditions in the winter are pretty harsh for a plant that likes to be outside in a Mediterranean climate. So she did well last winter, but she wouldn't be the first one I've lost. So we'll give her the best chance we can, and then see how she does. So I'm going to pick her up and put her in the greenhouse for now. Eventually she will come inside, but tonight and this week I'll keep her in the greenhouse with the potatoes, and she'll be safe. So I've got rosemary tucked in here in the greenhouse. Let me actually just walk around. Woo. Yeah, so there's rosemary. I also went up to the barn and grabbed the heater. Got that set up with the thermostat and the temperature probe hanging. I've also got a little fan in here that I'll turn on later when I close everything up to keep the air circulating. So hopefully that'll keep the sweet potatoes toasty tonight, and they'll continue curing for another couple of weeks. Well, I think that's it for today's video. I've got everything harvested that I wanted to harvest before the frost. I got rosemary and the sweet potatoes into the greenhouse all tucked away, and yeah, we should be good. It'll be interesting to see what awaits us tomorrow morning. I'll have to take some video of that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that you're here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.